Welcome to this deep dive, curated just for you,
Today we're venturing, well, I guess you could say, into the shadows.
with Edgar Allan Poe and his wickedly funny short story, Never Bet the Devil Your Head.
But, before you think this is just another one of those dusty literature analyses,
I can promise you it's going to get a little bit strange.
we're not just dissecting Poe's writing here
We're using it as a kind of like a funhouse mirror,
to understand, well,
ourselves a little bit better.
yes, and Poe,
Because even in the darkest humor,
he wastes no time setting that tone, right?
right from the beginning,
It's like he's winking at the audience, you know what I mean?
almost daring them to just dismiss this whole story as absurdity.
That's right.
He actually includes this this sly little disclaimer,
Right in the opening.
almost like he's anticipating all those readers out there,
Who might demand, a more straightforward moral to the story.
and which, when you think about it,
It's a pretty bold move for a writer, particularly in Poe's time.
I mean, this was an era obsessed with morality tales.
Those stories that were designed to deliver a very clear and unambiguous message.
About right and wrong.
Right, exactly.
And Poe, he throws a wrench right into that machinery,
With Never Bet the Devil Your Head.
And our main character, Toby Dammit.
He isn't your typical literary hero, is he?
In fact, he's got a little bit of a gambling problem.
Yeah, and not just any gambling problem.
Toby's wager of choice is, well,
His own head.
talk about high stakes.
Naturally, everyone around him, they treat these pronouncements as a running joke.
Nobody actually believes that Toby would go through with it.
But that's where Poe's genius really shines through, in my opinion.
In that tension between the absurd and the deeply unsettling.
Exactly.
On the surface, it's funny,
It's ridiculous, even.
but there's this undercurrent of darkness.
This kind of hint of self-destructive impulse that Poe explores throughout his work.
And he does it with such flair, I mean.
Like there's this one line when Poe describes the aftermath of one of Toby's losses.
He writes, "He did not long survive his terrible loss. The homeopathists did not give him enough physic."
It's macabre, but I found myself laughing out loud.
That's the thing about Poe, you see.
He can deliver those lines with such a straight face.
You almost don't know whether to laugh or be disturbed.
But that's the beauty of his dark humor, I think.
It catches you off guard, makes you question your own reactions.
And it's even more striking.
When we consider the context of when Poe was writing,
This wasn't just entertainment, right?
this was a challenge to the literary norms of his day.
He was subverting expectations, using humor to explore the darkest corners of the human psyche
And nowhere is that more clear.
than in the character of the devil himself.
I mean, this isn't your stereotypical fire and brimstone figure.
Instead, Poe gives us this figure that's both sinister and strangely mundane.
Right.
He's meticulously dressed, even wearing an apron,
It's almost comical.
which makes you wonder, is this truly a supernatural encounter?
Or is Poe hinting at something else here,
That's the question that hangs over this entire story, isn't it?
Is Toby making a literal deal with the devil?
Or is this a metaphor for the dangerous bargains we make with ourselves?
Those inner demons that we all try to outrun?
Yeah, it's like Poe is holding up this distorted mirror.
Gosh, to human nature and saying,
Look, this is what happens.
when we let our darker impulses just take over.
Precisely.
And he does it through Toby's interactions.
With this devil figure.
Who is anything but predictable, right?
Right.
And there's this one scene,
Where Toby finally encounters the devil, right?
all right, on this,
This rickety bridge.
and instead of, the usual demonic grandeur that you might expect,
We get this oddly polite figure.
who just calmly discusses the terms of the bet with Toby,
It's that juxtaposition.
of the ordinary and the extraordinary.
That makes Poe's work, I think.
So compelling, don't you think?
I do, yeah.
He takes something as mundane as a bridge,
A symbol of connection.
safe passage even, and he just twists it.
Into something so unsettling, so dangerous.
Right.
And that bridge, it becomes this powerful metaphor, don't you think?
For the choices we make.
Toby, I mean, he's so blinded by this compulsive need to bet,
That he just races across this bridge towards his doom.
ignoring all signs of danger.
It's a very potent reminder, I think.
That our own, what do you call them?
Self-destructive tendencies, I suppose.
Can lead us down some pretty dangerous paths.
Even when we think we're in control, right?
Right.
And Poe, he doesn't shy away from the consequences of those choices.
I mean, Toby's demise, it's as gruesome as it is absurd.
It really makes you stop and think about its true significance.
It's that lingering sense of unease,
What did I just read? Feel like
That makes Poe such a master of psychological horror, in my opinion.
he doesn't need jump scares or,
Supernatural monsters, right.
Right.
He terrifies us with the monsters within ourselves.
Exactly.
He invites us to confront those monsters.
To examine our own compulsions and the bets that we make.
With our own metaphorical heads, you could say.
So,
If Toby represents that part of us,
that's drawn to self-sabotage.
what does that make the devil in this whole scenario?
That's the question, isn't it?
That lies at the heart of this whole deep dive.
Is the devil an external force?
A tempting demon whispering in our ear.
Or is it something more insidious?
Something we create within ourselves, you know?
Through our choices and actions.
It really is. It's a chilling thought.
When you think that that the devil that we bargain with might be,
Our own creation.
our own carefully cultivated darkness,
And like any good bargain, right?
It's all about recognizing the terms.
That we're agreeing to.
Poe's not just spinning some spooky tale here
He's offering a cautionary message.
about the small
Seemingly insignificant.
choices that we all make every day,
Robo.
each one,
A bet, you could say.
with potentially devastating consequences.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, the devil is in the details.
And Poe, he was a master of details.
Think about,
The way he describes the devil's appearance.
I mean...
There's something so unsettling.
about this meticulously dressed figure,
This prince of darkness who takes the time to adjust his apron.
before sealing Toby's fate.
It's those small touches, right?
That creates such a sense of unease,
I mean, Poe, he understood the power of contrast.
This unsettling effect of placing something as ordinary as an apron.
Alongside something as extraordinary as a demonic pact, right?
Yeah. And maybe that's the point that Poe's making, right?
Evil doesn't always announce itself with a thunderclap,
Sometimes it creeps in quietly.
disguised as a harmless wager.
Or a seemingly insignificant choice, you know what I mean?
It's a sobering thought.
And one that I think resonates even more strongly today, don't you think?
I do.
I mean, look, we live in a world of constant choices.
This never-ending stream of decisions, both big and small.
Right.
And each one
Carries a potential for
a consequence, right?
just like Toby, so fixated on winning his bet.
That he fails to see the very real danger in front of him.
We too,
We can become blinded by our own desires.
our own need to come out on top.
Which brings us back to that
To that final haunting image.
of Toby running headlong into the iron bar, right?
A victim of his own, what would you say?
Self-destructive impulses.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it?
That the bets we make with our metaphorical heads.
Can have very real consequences.
So, as you go about your day,
Just consider this.
what seemingly harmless wagers are you making
What compromises are you accepting?
in the pursuit of your own desires?
And perhaps more importantly, I think,
What would it take to walk away from that bet?
to choose a different path.
One that leads not to destruction.
But to a more fulfilling...
Authentic life?
I mean, that's the question Poe leaves us with, isn't it?
A question worth pondering.
Long after the story ends.
And that's the mark of truly great literature, don't you think?
It sees with you.
It prompts you to ask those
difficult questions
to confront those uncomfortable truths.
about yourself and the world around you.
So, next time you find yourself
Face to face.
with your own metaphorical devil, right?
Just remember Toby Dammit's fate.
And choose wisely.
This has been your deep dive.
Curated just for you.
Until next time, keep exploring
Keep questioning.
and keep diving deep.